Good day, folks. Great White Smoke Barbecue here with you today. My name's Jake Broder. I'm a correctional officer here in Ontario. I love cooking. I love barbecuing. I love smoking meats. Today I'm going to be making a smoked venison burger and some wedge fries. I'm going to be using Wild Games Cooking line of spices. Since I've started using these, that's all I'll use. I shot this deer last year in December during the shotgun hunt. So we're going to get into making dinner and let's do it. Okay, guys, for the wedge fries, I've just got 4 russet potatoes here. I've already washed them. I'm just going to chop them in half and kind of cut them on an angle and make little wedges out of them. You want them about yay thick. Do the same. I'm going to end up putting these in an ice bath just to pull out some of the starch from them. I've already got a bowl full of ice. I'm going to let them sit there for about half an hour or so. Once a half hour is up, I'm going to put them on a cooking board with some towels and dry them off. Cut out that chunk because it's not good. We'll cut this last one in half here. Okay, I've got them all cut up and I'm going to put them in an ice bath now. I'm just going to drop these guys in the ice bath now. Again, going to let them sit, let the starch come out. It's easier to cook them when there's no starch and they'll become more crispy. All right, I'm just going to submerge them and let them soak for 30 minutes. So it's been about 30 minutes. I've drained the potatoes off. I'm just going to pat them dry with a towel here, and then I'm going to transfer them back to the bowl. I recently smoked a brisket, and when I trimmed off the fat of the brisket, I rendered down all the tallow in my smoker. So instead of oil today, this is what I'm going to be using. So I've got my tallow here. I'm going to mix that all in. I'm gonna shake it up so it all gets evenly distributed. So I've got a sheet pan here with aluminum foil on. I'm going to be using the hint of heat on this. I'm going to spread it pretty liberally. I'm just going to get in there with my hands and get everything evenly coated. All right, I'm going to transfer these to the sheet pan and try and make sure they're not on top of each other, just so everything has time to cook. Just keep going. All right, now that I have the potatoes all spread out and even, I'm going to be throwing it in the oven at 450 for about 35 minutes or until they're tender. Okay, guys, for my venison burger, I've got 1 pound of venison. I've got probably about 3/4 of a pound of pork. I like mixing in pork with venison because I find that venison doesn't have a lot of fat in it. So I like to cut it with a little bit of fat, and pork also adds more flavor. I'm going to dice up one small onion. I will be putting onions on top of the burger as well. That's why I'm using a small onion. And if you don't like onion, you don't have to use onion. I like a finer dice on these. I'm also going to chop up one clove of garlic. Split it in half, cut it into 3, and just do a quick chop here. All right, now that we got that done, I'm going to transfer everything into the bowl to mix it. Okay, I've got everything in the bowl. I'm just going to mix it all together here. I don't typically use breadcrumbs and eggs in this, just because I like the more of the meat flavor. I've got it half mixed here. I'm going to use some barbecue spice and some all-purpose. I'm going to mix it together so it's combined very well. And then I'll form it into patties. Just mixing it up here. I don't want to see any big chunks of venison all together or pork. That way I know it'll be evenly spread. That looks about right there, and now I'm just going to form it into patties. Okay. I'm just going to grab a little handful here, probably about 8 to 10 ounces, just so it looks like that. Pack it down a little bit. All you're going to do now is just rinse and repeat until you're out of your meat. I've got the Traeger set to 350 right now. I'm just using a competition blend. You can get it at, I think we got this at Costco. It's usually my favorite go-to one. All right, now that I got the patties formed, I'm going to throw them out on the smoker. All right, smoker's at 350. I'm gonna throw these on here. A little bit of sizzle, that's what you like. I'm gonna cook these to about 145 internally, because that's when pork is good to eat. I'll keep checking on them to make sure I don't overdo them. I'm also gonna sear them off on the barbecue just for that char flavor. I'm just gonna be making a quick little aioli, both for the burgers and to dip the wedge fries in. I'm just gonna add some mayonnaise here. I'm gonna use a little bit of the all-purpose. Since I do like my spice, I'm gonna use a little bit of hint of heat as well. I know it's on the wedge fries, it'll just back up the flavor. All right, now that we got those in, I'm just gonna stir it around until it gets well incorporated. And then I'll just set it in the fridge. Just did a temp check on these burgers and they're at 145. I've got my barbecue already preheated. So let's pull these off and we'll throw them on the barbecue. The burgers look good. They got a nice smoke to them. Just gonna take them off here quickly. Then we're gonna transfer them over to the barbecue. Again, I've got this heating up. These aren't going to be on long. They're just going to get a nice quick sear for that char flavor. Throw a little pork burger on for my missus. And we'll be back in probably like 2-3 minutes and flip them. And then we're going to put some cheese on them. All right, I've already got some lettuce set aside here. I'm just going to do half a red onion. You can cut this to the thickness that you like. I personally really like onions, so I cut them a little thicker. Do some pickles, nice and thin. Throw these on the plate. Then lastly, a tomato. I'm going to use a serrated knife here because I find serrated knives work better when I'm cutting tomatoes. Cut these nice and thin. Got 5 burgers, so I'd like to at least get 5 slices out of this just so I can put a slice of tomato on each. All right. Throw this on the plate here. And we'll be composting all that. All right, the burger's been on the barbecue for about a little over 2 minutes there. You got that nice char. Should be good to go. Flip a couple more of these burgers. Oh. Flip this little pork burger over. I'm gonna add some nice provolone cheese. And then we're gonna shut everything down and just let the cheese melt on these burgers. All right, so I checked on these wedge fries. They look nice. They're fork tender. I'm just gonna pull them out and let them rest on the top of the stove for a little minute. And we'll taste test them. Okay guys, the burgers are done. Cheese is all nice and melted on them. And throw them on a tray here and get them inside. One thing I like about provolone cheese is it melts nice, and I do like the flavor of it. It is a little bit more nuttier. Get this little pork burger off here. And once we go back inside, let's assemble. Okay guys, we got everything all cooked up, so let's assemble. Take a little bit of this aioli that I made. Spread her on both sides. And then you can choose your toppings as you like. So we're just going to do a tomato, some pickles, a little red onion. I'm going to fan this out nice. And we're going to do a little bit of lettuce. On each side. Then we're going to take your burger, plop that on top there, close the lid. The aioli is really good. I'm going to take some fries here. Put a little bit more of this aioli down for dipping. There we are. Now for the taste test. Take the burger. Really good there. You can see that nice little smoke ring in there. Take a wedge fry. Let's dip it in the aioli. That's an everyday meal. Everyday meal. All right, guys, if you liked everything, like and subscribe again. Great White Smoke Barbecue. Thanks to Wild Game Cooking for all the spice rubs. You gotta enjoy it. Tune into the next one.